Hi, my name is Haley Figezi, and this is my video project for Things I Should Have Said for Soch 100 Section 2. This particular event occurred last summer before I left for MSU in my hometown of Rochester Hills at my old job. I used to be a server at a small kitchen, and I would say that the staff was very culturally and racially diversified, and overall everyone was treated with respect, except for one night when I was closing. There was an African American dishwasher on the schedule that night, along with a Caucasian coworker. They were both closing down the dish tank in the back of the kitchen. After we close, the servers, including me, are up front counting our receipts and cash tips. But the kitchen door was always left open so you could hear and see what was happening in the back. The manager had been in his office for a while everyone was doing their part to close, and when he came out, he noticed that the African American employee was wearing a backpack and was finishing up and ready to go home. She was trying to make a funny comment by being sarcastic and said, "I hope you weren't stealing anything while I was in my office. You never know with you kind of people. I might have to check your bag." The employee looked extremely taken back and sort of in shock, but he was kind of a shy person, only 17. It was his first job, so he didn't say anything. He just nodded and smiled and said goodnight as he went home. 20 minutes later, his mom called, and my manager picks up, and she was saying how upset the kid was and how he felt belittled and humiliated in front of all the staff because they heard the joke. One thing I noticed that was the other dishwasher, who was white, also had on his backpack, but the manager never said anything to him. I watched this all happen, but because I did not want to correct someone above me in power, I simply agreed with the manager when he claimed it was just a joke. I agreed and said that it was funny and that he shouldn't have taken it so seriously. I gathered my things that night and I left, but I never really looked at my manager in the same way again because I wish I would have stood up for a guy who was not much older than me at the time, and I should have at least asked if he was okay before he left, because when he did leave, he walked past all of us with his head down, and he seemed really embarrassed. This situation actually reminded me of the articles we read for class, the Stop and Frisk article, which the police stopped more black people on suspicion of criminal activity than any other race simply because of the color of their skin. My manager discriminated against one of his employees by using a stereotype to justify his assumptions about that employee's race. He did not make the comment to the white dishwasher, but only to the black dishwasher, because there is a stereotype that black people can be involved in criminal activity or suspicious or violent even. This is a form of selective perception because the manager took a simple thing such as a backpack to jump to the conclusion that it must mean he's stealing something from the kitchen while he was in his office. Therefore, he only noticed the fact that supported his prejudice of that particular race. Both prejudice, discrimination, and stereotypes are all mechanisms that maintain social inequality. Now this kid will now have to find another job, and this is during the school year, so it was probably stressful. I remember talking to him a couple times and saying that he really did need the job, but he couldn't come back to work there because he didn't feel safe in that environment anymore. And it wasn't because he was doing a bad job at the restaurant, because he was doing a good job. It had nothing to do with his merit, but only his race. So basically, he was getting punished for something that was out of his control. Like I said before, the reason I didn't challenge my manager is because he is my manager, and I didn't want to get on his bad side. He makes the schedules. He puts on people with, like, long hours that he doesn't like. So I think this mindset holds true for many people who are scared to stand up for equality against their own employers for fear of losing their job. I also think that when people cannot feel comfortable in their work environment, their productivity and work ethic will also be hindered. Therefore, this can affect rewards and punishments, such as it could possibly affect their ability to earn raises, promotions. My manager we were like a decent amount close, and he did respect my work ethic, and I think that maybe if I would have stood up in the moment and said, like, hey, that's not really funny, like, let's just finish up closing, like, like, drew the tension away from it to make the coworker feel a little less humiliated, then I think the manager would have apologized or said, like, I'm just kidding, or something to make the coworker feel like he could stay at his job, where he didn't have to leave, go out of his way to find another job, and just overall make his life a little more stressful just because of a stereotype that my boss decided to inflict on him one night. This experience really showed me that social inequality works in ways in our lives when we don't even notice it, but I think it's important to be mindful of these situations so when they do occur, we can promote some sort of agency, whether it's just sticking up for an employee or even going further than that. But yeah, thank you for watching.